These teenagers use their spare time in a way that's probably different to most blokes their age. They visit children's hospitals and schools for kids with disabilities.
When you're angry, when you're sad, sing a song with your feet. When the world has stepped on you and you just don't know what to be. Walking to the hill. See how small they make you feel.
These guys know all about the importance of putting a smile on the faces of kids less fortunate. A couple of years ago, Ian, Ali, Tony and Mike were all locked up behind the razor wire inside Australia's immigration detention centres. Since mid-2005, when the Migration Act was amended, most children have been moved out of immigration detention. They're now only locked up in these kind of conditions as a matter of last resort. But before the law changed, thousands of children had to survive in this environment.
They were deprived of a safe environment in which to play and learn, especially in the remote facilities. They were deprived of educational opportunities. We saw very young children who were deprived of basics such as toys. There was also difficulty in having adequate diet. Often these kids were feeling very isolated, very depressed and often really angry as well, wondering why on earth this was being done to them when they had committed no crime other than to come with their families who are hoping for a safe life.
Anything.
Anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah? Mike and his family arrived in Australia from Taiwan in 2002. He then spent 3 years in Villawood Detention Centre and is currently living in community detention. Generally, looking back at what's happened to you, being in detention for 3 years and how your life is now, how do you feel about it all?
It's weird, like, my life is different to other people's. Like, I'm in detention centre, people outside, they don't know what's in detention centre and stuff, yeah.
Is it true that you thought about, you said you wanted to help homeless people?
Yeah.
Why homeless people?
Because they have no money, they're poor, they don't have house to live, they have to live in the street, so yeah.
While Mike and the other guys were in detention, they met Gary Taylor. Through an organisation called the Australian League of Immigration Volunteers, he visited detention centres to run camps and activities for the children living there. One day Mike came to Gary with his own idea to help homeless people and other kids.
Mike would have been about probably 8 at the time, you know, and sort of 8 or 9, and to sort of have an 8 or 9-year-old sort of come up to you and say, look, when I get to go out next, you know, can we start a program where we're actually going to start other kind of kids? And we said, well, what kind of kids do you want to help? And I think Mikey had a passion for homeless kids and kids with cancer and stuff like that. And we just fell off our chairs. We just, you know, we thought it would be, you know, 10 years before we could get these children to that point from what they'd been through. So we just, you know, ran outside and sort of put the whole program together and you know, went and learned face painting and balloon tying and magic and all that sort of stuff, and brought in professional magicians and stuff. And as soon as the kids got out, bang, we started the program, and it was just an amazing thing. It really was.
The program has not only been positive for the people the boys visit, but it's also helped them as they deal with adjusting to life after detention. Do you feel like you've moved on from them?
Yeah, I have.
How have you done that? How have you moved on from that time?
Like detention centre, but people help me instead, but now I help other people. Yeah.
We realised that there were 4 people who deserved particular mention.
And their contribution hasn't gone unnoticed.
A live charity program here.
The boys were recently presented with 2 humanitarian awards by the New South Wales Service for the Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture and Trauma Survivors. Do you think there's something in that for all of us, the therapy of helping other people?
Look, I think that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. As a teenage kid, it's tough, you know, and I think that these kids are starting to really understand that so much of the pleasure in life comes from giving. The more you help people, the more you give, the more it gives you back. You know, the better you feel, the happier you feel.
So you're proud of yourselves, of what you've achieved since you got out of detention?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Thanks for having us. We had a great time. Hope